Some big topics today. So welcome to my morning video. My name is Ray Higdon. I teach network marketers faith-based mindset and leadership principles that work. He's speaking in tongues. Be sure to subscribe or follow if you aren't already. And of course, you like this message. And I know it's a very small thing for you to do, but I certainly appreciate it. If you hit that like button, if you're able to share or comment, I really appreciate that. I appreciate it. Two things. Number one, super special invite. First time in 8 years that we've ever done this. We've been teaching this program for 8 years. It's called Top Earner Success School. And tonight is the first night ever that we are inviting you to attend a session for free. Okay. And so tonight is all about attraction marketing and how to crush it on social media. Not a lot of, I doubt there's going to be much biblical verses or anything tonight. It's all marketing and all social media. And if you want to join that for free, it's at higdongroup.com/attract. higdongroup.com/attract. Number two, and Christine has beat me to the punch here. This Saturday, I'm speaking in Deerfield Beach at a faith-based business event. I'm very excited about it, and you can learn more at masterpiecewomen.org. masterpiecewomen.org. Now, I know it says Masterpiece Women. They have opened it up to men and women. And also, if you use the coupon code Higdon24, you save 50%. I don't get a cut of ticket sales, but I'm just wanting to pack the house because I think more and more people want to know how to run a faith-based business or how to incorporate faith into their business. And we'll talk a little bit about that today. So today's topic, and that's masterpiecewomen.org, coupon code Higdon24, you'll save 50%. Why not? They do have a virtual option as well if you want to watch from home, but I would love to meet you. I'd love to hang out with you. All right. So today's topic is hearts and wisdom for abundance. Hearts and wisdom for abundance. Now, awesome, Christine. See you there. God knows your heart. He knew my heart when I was selfish, greedy, self-centered, arrogant. Just being honest. It's where I was. Back in my real estate days, if I met you and I didn't think that I could make money with you or from you, I didn't want to talk to you. That's how I was. That's why every single morning and every single night and sometimes throughout the day, I thank God for transforming me. I thank God for rescuing me, running to me when I was so far off. Can I get an amen? Anyone else? Or were you pretty good? Or have you never had these kind of issues? and that's what's interesting is I really believe that those who were the farthest off tend to be the most grateful for salvation. That's what I found. That's at least for me. Now, this is something very, very instructional for you. And, yes, I know that timeline-wise, I'm fairly new, to Christianity, right? I mean, I came to Christ a year ago last November. So, that sounds like not a lot, right? But I am diligently seeking wisdom from the Bible. I'm in it every single day. I'm in it in multiple different ways, seeking the wisdom. And if you seek it, you'll get it. You'll get it. So people who get confused by Bible passages often only look at what someone did versus what was in their heart. Okay? I encourage you to try that on. If there's a passage that you don't understand very well, look at what was in their heart. And just ask yourself, what was in their heart, right? For example, the 10 virgins with the lamps, right? 5 of them, had their oil, filled up and 5 didn't. Well, some people will hear that and they'll think, wow, what does oil mean? What does it mean? What does it mean by the lamp and oil? And what's in their heart? If you knew you were expecting, wouldn't your heart say, I should probably fill this up? I should probably show up appropriately. And it wasn't that they didn't have the money. They had the money. They went afterwards like, oh, we're supposed to get oil. Okay, well, let me go get it, right? What was in their heart was entitlement. What was in their heart was not a reverence of the Lord. So if you have a tough passage or a parable that you're like, what does that even mean, right? Look to the heart. I'm telling you, it's helped me with a lot of verses, okay? Now, this is not just in the New Testament. It's also in the Old Testament. 1 Samuel 16:7, but the Lord said to Samuel, do not look on his appearance or on the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord sees not as man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. And, of course, we know New Testament, God knows your heart. Luke 16:15, and he said to them, you are those who justify yourselves before men, but God knows your hearts. For what is exalted among men is an abomination in the sight of God. So let's all agree, God knows what's in your heart, right? This is when the Bible talks about giving or being charitable. It says, don't let the right hand know what the left hand is doing. Do you know what that means? That's a Hebrew saying, okay? Don't let the right hand know what the left hand is doing. That means don't be giving so that you get. Don't be giving so that you get. Now, the truth is when you sow, you reap, right? So when you give, you do get, but don't give it and proclaim it with trumpets of what you've given, knowing that you're going to get something, right? Which is the adoration of other people, which is the setting upness and being exalted, right? Luke 16:15 says, what is exalted among men is an abomination in the sight of God. Isn't that interesting? So let's talk a little bit about heart. What's in your heart? Now let's tie everything together here, okay? So let's tie in heart, let's tie in wisdom, and tie in abundance. Ready for this? Who's ready? Who's ready for this? Let me know. Drop a 1 if you're ready. I don't know if you're ready. I'm not sure. Y'all know I don't move forward until I see ones. Is he going to go? Continue, please. I know. I work for ones over here. We'll work for comments. So let's talk about wisdom. Deuteronomy 8:18, very important verse. You shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the power to get wealth, that he may confirm his covenant that he swore to your fathers as it is to this day. The power to get wealth, right? It doesn't say, I give you wealth. Here, take it. Just take it. So most people, when they pray for a result, right? Lord, pay my bills. I've been guilty of that. Lord, pay my bills. Lord, bless me with abundance. Okay? So what if your kid came to you and they had a bad day at school, right? And they said, Mommy, Daddy, bless me with a cookie. You ain't earned that cookie. If they acted a fool at school or wherever, you probably wouldn't reward them with a cookie, would you? You would try to teach them a lesson. So what might you give them? Okay? If one of your kids needs correction, if one of your kids needs some, they're acting a fool, you would probably give them what? Wisdom. All right? Let me tell you a quick story. So my daughter, wow, she is my firecracker. She keeps me on my toes. She is how many know and love some of my Sabrina isms? How many are aware of my daughter Sabrina and me sharing some of the things that she has said? Because it's just outrageous, right? she is, she is wired for an entrepreneur, man. So she comes home yesterday, and she's like, "I'm gonna win $100." I'm like, "Okay, how you gonna do that?" She goes, "There's an art contest at school about recycling, and I'm gonna win." I'm like, "Awesome, that's great. That's really great." And so, she's working hard. And here's how smart she is. Last night before bed, she says to my wife, she goes, "Mommy, if I don't win, will you give me $5?" Who says this? She said something else last night. So last night, she says, I don't know where this even came from, but she goes, "Hey, if we sell my bed, I get 50%. What? If we sell my bed, I get 50%. What? So, she's attempting multiple income streams, right? She's 8 years old. She's brilliant. She's going to keep me on my toes. She's a firecracker, right? And so this morning, she says to me as she's looking over her art, and she's like, she's going to submit it today. She's going for that $100, and she says to me, she goes, "I deserve to win. I deserve to win." That's what she says. So what could I do, right? I could say, "Yeah, you do, baby. You worked hard on that. You deserve to win." That's not what I did. I said, "Hey, we don't deserve anything. We don't deserve anything." Let me say that again. We don't deserve anything. Hebrew is God's language. Do you know the word rights? Like I know my rights, rights, like I'm entitled to. There's no word in Hebrew for that word. Doesn't exist. If it doesn't exist in God's language, maybe it shouldn't exist, right? And so she says, "I deserve to win." And I said, "Well, baby, we don't deserve anything. Now, I hope you win. But here's what I want you to understand. There's a proverb that says, in all work, there's profit. All work, Solomon shared with us, I don't remember which proverb it is, but Solomon shared with us, all work is profitable." I'm like, "Do you know what profitable means?" And she's like, "No." And I said, "That means that all work that we do, every time we try hard, we get some kind of benefit. We grow, we learn, we gain wisdom, we increase our endurance. We improve. Every time we work hard, we improve. So you've already won. It's already profitable because you worked hard, and all work is profitable." Now, that's what I shared with her. I don't know how she takes it, but she seemed to get it. And so let's go back to the verse. "Remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the power to get wealth." What's the power to get wealth? Wisdom. Wisdom. Now, how does wisdom, the power to get wealth, right? Power to get wealth, wisdom. Now, wisdom isn't limited to the power to get wealth, okay? Wisdom is, many things. But the power to get wealth involves wisdom. If we're taking the power to get wealth and we're taking the marketplace, the power to get wealth becomes, okay, you ready for this? The power to get wealth in the marketplace is the wisdom of serving others. the wisdom of serving others. So the power to get wealth is to look around you, just like Jeff Bezos did, just like Elon Musk did. Now, I don't know their faith, and I'm not professing that, but they use this principle. See, a lot of people use this principle without being of faith, without being Christian. And guess what? It works. This principle works. So the power to get wealth is to use your eyes, look around you, and ask, how can I serve others by solving their problems? So if you want to guarantee 100% chance, not 90%, 100% chance, if you want to have more wealth, you find a way to solve a problem and you offer that solution to more people. Simple, maybe not easy, but most people that are praying for money, they don't understand that. They don't get it. They want, God, just shower me with money manna from heaven. But they don't, in their heart, they're looking for me. How do I get more money? Not how do I solve more problems? And here's what I know. And they've proven this in psychology. They can study how someone writes or speaks. And the more you talk about yourself, the more likely you'll be diagnosed as clinically depressed. The power to get wealth is to look through your eyeballs and see what problems are out there that I can help people solve. This is how you apply biblical principles that work, period. They just work. That's how this happens. And you can be someone that doesn't edify God, know God, believe think he's imaginary, whatever. You can still use this principle. A lot of people do. The principles work. How many are getting value from this so far? Is this helpful? I'm going to say it one more time. If you want to guarantee make more money, you find a way to solve a problem, then you offer that solution to more people. That's what you do. If you look at the disciples, none of them were ministry. He didn't pull anyone from ministry. Maybe they knew too much. I don't know. Right? I don't know the reason. They were all in business. They were all catching fish and selling them in the marketplace. If you go a little bit further, Paul was a tent maker, right? Priscilla and Aquila, they dealt with expensive and powerful ribbons and thread. Purple thread, very expensive, right? And when we were in Nazareth, when we were in the village of Nazareth in Israel, they explained it, and I can't remember. It's because they took the thread and they had to, what was it that they mixed with the purple thread? I can't remember. But it was very expensive. That ingredient was very expensive to get. And so the power to get wealth is solving problems. How do you solve problems? And that is how we're meant to serve. Now, here's another word. Some of y'all won't like this one. Some of you won't like this one. The first time the word retirement was used was in 1833. The word retirement does not exist in the Bible. The word retirement is not in Hebrew. There is no Hebrew word for retirement. And if Hebrew is God's language and a concept doesn't exist in that language, then I don't think it should exist. At what point do you stop serving others? Do you stop solving problems? And you just, because you got plenty of money? When does that happen? When is it a good time? When is it a good age? Is it 65? Is it 89? When is it a good age to stop serving others and only serve yourself? I'm gonna say never, right? That's why it's so admirable when you see someone like, Bob Proctor, before he passed. He was in his 80s, and if you saw him on stage, you'd be like, dang. I mean, he was just fire, man. In his 80s, just killing it. Didn't need to. Had plenty of money. But I was very blessed to see this. I saw Bob edify his mentor. And Bob said he asked his mentor when his mentor was in his 80s and was going on the road speaking. He's like, hey, man, what are you doing? Like when are you going to stop this? You got plenty of money. And his mentor told him, hey, last time I checked, there were still people out there that needed help. Powerful. Okay. So now we know if we have a servant heart and we understand wisdom is solving the problems of others, then we can combine those two things and we can create abundance. We can create wealth. We can tap into the power to get wealth. Okay. Now, how are we to use our wealth? Is it to retire, sail around the world? Is that the deal? Stop serving others? Me. Instagram it up, new bikinis? Well, Luke 16, 9 through 12. I tell you, this is such an important verse. People don't get it. For those that have bought into the poverty gospel, well, I'm broke, so I must be virtuous. Selfish. It is horrendously selfish for you to only wish enough money to support you and your family. Selfish. It means I'm not even interested in serving others. I'm not interested in giving more to charity. I'm not interested in being generous. I just want to provide for me. Luke 16, 9 through 12. I tell you, use worldly wealth to gain friends for yourself. Now listen how specific this is. Use worldly, what kind? Worldly. Is there any way to translate that differently? Does that mean heavenly Bitcoin when you die? No. Worldly, in the world, worldly, very straight. Use worldly wealth to gain friends for yourselves so that when, you always want to pay attention to so that. So that is that bridge connector in the Bible, right? We do this, so we get this, okay? I tell you, use worldly wealth to gain friends for yourself so that when it is gone, when will it be gone? Most likely when we die, but we're not sure just yet. When it is gone, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings. That's extremely straightforward. That is very clear. I don't know another way to translate that one, okay? Then listen to this. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. So it's not the having of money. It's what's in your heart about money. There are people with no money that money is their heart. Money is their idol. And there are people with a lot of money that God is their heart. Christ is their heart. It's possible. And we'll get to the verse that some of you want to throw at me, right? The camel, eye of the needle deal, right? We'll talk about that. So if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will, listen to this, man. If you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? What is this saying? It's saying that worldly wealth ain't it. That's not the highest level you can reach in the game. True riches. Okay? Now, this one, ooh man, this is a convicting one here. You ready? And if you have not been trustworthy with someone else's property, who will give you property of your own? Now, at first glance, this sounds out of left field, right? If you haven't been trustworthy with someone else's property, who will give you property of your own, you're like, where'd that come from? I didn't borrow any of his property. Does this mean stealing money from people? Like, what does this mean? Okay, you know what someone else's property is? Your life. God paid full price for you. He sent his only son to die for you when we didn't deserve it. Your life is a gift from God. It isn't yours to squander. It's not yours to use however you want, to retire when you got plenty of money. I'm going to retire at 30. I'm going to stop serving others at 30. I'm going to be all about myself at 30 or 50 or 60 or 80, whatever. This life is not yours. It was bought and paid for, and there was no discount. It wasn't on the clearance rack. He paid full price. So if you're given this temporary life here on earth and you squander this, why would you get something eternally? Now, I know what some of you are dying to say. What about the rich person and the camel through the eye of a needle? Well, if you really study that, right? Study it, okay? There's a couple things that are very powerful about it, right? And I think the most detailed version, I believe is in Luke. I mean, usually that's the case. Luke's usually the most detailed dude. There's a couple of interesting things, okay? So Jesus gave the rich young ruler his answer. He said, how do I make it to heaven? He said, well, for you need to give up your worldly wealth. You need to give away your riches. Why would he say that? This comes all the way back to the heart, okay? So if you have God first, here's what happens. So if you're worth millions and millions of dollars, okay, and you clearly hear from God in the flesh, and he says to you, give that away. If God is first, you give it away. Now, God wasn't saying, hey, everyone that has anything, give it all away. He wasn't saying that. He was saying that to the rich young ruler. Why? Heart. Any passage you struggle with, try it on for size. Try what was in the heart of the person that either did or didn't do that thing, okay? And so what was in his heart? His heart was my identity, my significance, my status, my safety, my security is in my money. That's most people today. Most people today are that rich young ruler. Same. Most people, their net worth is their self-worth. How do I feel today? Well, what's in my bank account? Most people today are that rich young ruler. They go to Jesus and they say, hey, you know what? Of all my priorities, you're one of them. You're up there, big guy. So for most people, Christ is an addition, not an exchange. Worldly status first. God, I don't know. It's under coffee. He's up there, though. He's up there. Look, I got a cross. I got a bumper sticker. Of all the priorities, he's one of them. Hey, what do you want? There's two interesting things that's said in this passage, okay? Further down, right? First of all, yes, Jesus says it's easier for a camel to get through an eye of a needle than a rich man, to enter heaven. And you can argue the gate thing, but you actually don't need to, right? That you have to unload the camelos or whatever it was called, that you can't get the camel through a certain narrow gate without unloading the bags. You can enter, but you actually don't have to. Because he says with man, it's impossible. With God, anything is possible. And number two, even toward the bottom, it says, those who give away their wealth will receive 100-fold in this life. Ooh, that's interesting. That's interesting. So if God came to you and said, hey, give all you got away, and you're like, ooh, anything else? Can I make you a coffee? what now? Say that again. Then you know your priority. If you knew for certain that God was telling you that, and you'd be like, ooh, I don't know about that, then you know your priority, right? And by the way, that's not condemnation, because condemnation means you can't do anything about it, right? You're screwed, bro. No. Conviction is the revealing of your heart. Every time you're offended, every time you're triggered, every obstacle and every challenge, you are experiencing, because God loves you so much, He doesn't want you to remain the same. And every one of those is the revealing of your heart so that you can become more Christ-like with that awareness. So the next time you want to yell at the drive-through person, the next time you want to storm into the store and demand what the heck's wrong with you guys, the next time you don't want to forgive, it's a revealing of your heart. And if you get your heart right, okay, if your desire is to forgive because you were forgiven, if your desire is to love others, whether they love you or not, to serve others, to solve problems, and you combine that heart with the wisdom of understanding that the power to get wealth is to solve problems, you, just by principles alone, are going to have wealth. You're going to have abundance. And last but not least, Ecclesiastes 7:11. I'd never heard this one, but it came up in prayer. Wisdom is good with an inheritance and profitable to those who see the sun. Wisdom is good with an inheritance and profitable to those who see the sun. If you use the wisdom of serving others, solving problems, constantly getting out there and asking, how can I help someone today? And I don't just mean serve them food. I don't just mean, pat them on the back, right? But truly serve them, truly change their life with whatever it is you do to help them lose weight, save money, whatever way you solve problems of others. If you do that, it's a guaranteed principle. Anyone who sees the sun and follows this principle, you're going to create profits. I hope this is helpful to you. If it is, feel free to share it with somebody. I appreciate you so very much. Again, tonight,